Welcome back again to me and Kṣaṇāti. We are discussing about the moon houses, and now we are focusing on the ascendant or the sign, moon sign. So this video will be discussing about the moon in your ascendant, whichever the ascendant you are born, and what is the importance of that moon in your chart. Like example, if you are a Cancer ascendant, so moon will be rule your first house. So what is the role of moon? In different ascendant, if that is your ascendant, that will be going to affect you physically. And if it is your moon sign, then that house, that moon will be going to affect you mentally. So let's start with the Aries ascendant or Aries moon, right?
Yes, excellent.
Yeah. So like Aries people, whether they are born in the Aries ascendant or Aries moon sign, the moon has a prominent role of fourth house. We all know that Aries, we believe, is a Kal Purusha. Kal Purusha have a Aries, so all the sign are in the right placement. So here, the people born in the Aries ascendant, the moon is a priority, second priority of their life. That is a fourth house. And here, the moon, wherever it is placed, except the Dusthana or it is deblated or somewhere affected, they are the people who enjoy more of a pleasure in emotion level. So they always into the pleasure with the emotion. So they enjoy into the extent what we have discussed in the earlier video, part 1, where the moon in the fourth house. Here it's not in the fourth house. It's a lot of a fourth house. So it has a more power of a moon here in the Aries ascendant. And that is why Aries people enjoy the pleasure much more better way than the other people. As they have a natural sign here, and being a moon, that house lord is also moon. So they are getting a double benefit out of this moon. So they are enjoying the moon position on the fourth lord as a fourth lord. So they are into every kind of a pleasure. They are very much excited and they are enjoying to the extent. So this is the best position for the Aries people, having a moon sign in the fourth house. It should not be placed 6, 8, and 12 from this house. That viewers has to be remember that whenever the house lord is placed from his own house, we call as a Bhava Bham. So if it is placed in the 6th, 8th, and 12th house from his own sign, then it will not giving good benefits. Otherwise, the people having the 4 Aries ascendant, either a moon sign, they will be enjoying the pleasure into the great extent. It's not a container, it's itself an entire house which is ruled by the moon. So everything will be balanced with the moon mood, emotions, and they are enjoying all the aspects in the great extent. So you may add about the Aries ascendant with the moon.
Thank you for that wonderful discussion on moon from a perspective of an Aries ascendant. So all I want to reflect about that is the Aries ascendant is ruled by Mangala, is ruled by Mangal. Now, the moon is said to have no enemies. It is said that the moon has no enemies. However, Mars has many enemies. And it is not, some astrologers say that the moon and Mars are friends. But we know that the Mars is debilitated in Cancer. Moon is debilitated in Scorpio. So how good friends they could be has always been my argument. Now, now considering that the moon can act as a functional malefic for the Aries ascendant. So this is something to consider for the Aries ascendant. And then you're looking at the rulership of the 4th house, though, which is a natural position for the moon. So, and the rulership there. So it's a balance. Even though that Mars and moon might not always operate well together, the moon carrying its functionally natural energy to the 4th house is beneficial for the Aries ascendant. Now, generally speaking, the Aries ascendant is very passionate about their where they're from. They're very passionate about their land. And that's because the Cancer ascendant falls energy into the 4th house. So these people, it's important, it emphasizes the relationship with your actual mother. So as an Aries ascendant, the importance of your relationship with your mother is quite important. So that effect of the rulership of the 4th house. And if the moon is in a difficult position, the ruler of the 4th house is in Nietzsche position or enemy or very dark moon position, then there can be challenges with the mother. Even though your chart karma is the importance of the karmic relationship with the mother, that doesn't make the relationship easy. And but again, just my main point about the Aries ascendant is this relationship between Mars and the moon, and it is beneficial that the moon carries that energy to the 4th house. But a lot of times, the warrior and the queen, they don't always have the best interaction. So even though it does emphasize our relationship to have good pleasures with the home and have good pleasures with the family and have good pleasures with the mother, there also might be some challenges there as well that can show up, particularly if the moon is afflicted.
Yeah.
So thanks. So I hope that was helpful as well.
Yeah, you have combined both the things with the ascendant lord with the 4th lord. That is something unique thing, that what person is and what he's expecting. That's a total two new dimension. So the person of Aries ascendant, they are a warrior, and normally warrior doesn't have a pleasure. That's what we believe. But here, what happens that being the 4th lord moon, whatever they get pleasure out of it. So it's not the things that gives them pleasure, but the situation what arise in front of them. Suppose they are in the extreme cold, they enjoy that. If they are in the extreme hot, they enjoy it. So all the extreme condition, even if extreme condition they are facing, being not so good relation with the moon and Mars, as you mentioned rightly, but still at the time when the pleasure has to be enjoyed, they enjoy into the extent. So that's a good thing. You have link between the person as a ascendant lord as well as his 4th lord, how the cordial or not so cordial relationship between it. So that's an appreciation that you have been drawn here. So moving ahead, we can move to the Taurus. Taurus, Vrishabha, where the moon is a lord of a 3rd house. Here the enmity start, because as you have rightly mentioned that the ascendant lord should also be seen. So here the Venus is the enemy, consider the moon as an enemy. So what happened that all the pleasure seeking people, Taurus is nothing but the pleasure seeking people, those who always seek the pleasure as a priority of their life, they, being a moon in the 3rd lord, they give very less priority to their hardship. They give a less priority related to the 3rd house, their siblings, their traveling, their desire. They give a secondary thoughts for that and not giving the full priority. They give more attention to their own pleasure rather than giving them more pleasure, and rather to create a new pleasure, because the 3rd house is a creation. It's a beginning of something. At least even people start thinking about the something is also a 3rd house. So 3rd house being, we have already discussed in detail in the moon in the 3rd house. Here is a lot of 3rd house. So person have a less expectation or less focus on their good deeds, new beginning, or doing something new to their life, and also avoiding a kind of emotions to their siblings also. So also not traveling much, because they are very happy with the present situation where they are situated. So that way it doesn't sound good as the moon being a 3rd house lord and being in this ascendant. It's not so useful as in the other ascendant. What's your viewpoint about the Taurus people?
It's very interesting for the Taurus ascendant, especially if the ascendant falls in Rohini Nakshatra, because that's the moon's favorite nakshatra.
Yeah.
So there, but the Taurus ascendant being ruled by Venus, Shukra, and Venus and Moon having this strong historical relationship of the story where the Moon, again, we've discussed this, sleeps with the Jupiter's wife and goes to ask Venus, well, have I done anything wrong? And of course, Venus is quick to say, well, of course you've done something wrong. So there is this energy of discomfort. And then you look at the rulership of third house because of Cancer position in the third house. So this is a upachaya energy. So if the moon is in good position here, even though the Taurus ascendant, as Dr. Dharmesh accurately put, will be very pleasure seeking, how much do they want to work on themselves? How much do they want to grow? How much do they want to emotionally mature, become emotionally more responsibility? And depending on the moon position, we can see how quickly they can evolve in terms of their emotional maturity, in terms of their emotional responsibility. But if the moon is in a very difficult position here, there could be a lot of emotional irresponsibility or emotional immaturity. So the person doesn't care much about the emotion. They more care about which is good, which feels good, which is pleasure. So again, this is part of the moon relationship. The third house does activate karma with communication and expression. And with Venus, it's a different way of expressing than things with the moon, because Venus expresses things in a very beautiful, in a very refined, in a very sophisticated way. And the moon will express something in a very emotional way, in a very dramatic way. So this vibration here shows, okay, well, you have this way of describing things that is going to be very emotional. So like it's good for actors, Taurus ascendant, there can be many acting because they can put the emotion into their expression. And then also some of their dreams and their desires are about the acting out of emotion or the playing out of emotion. So they can also be skilled writers, but it's a question of how can they express that emotional energy. And again, for the Taurus ascendant, the moon is much more indulgent. And in terms of the emotional, the Venus is, it doesn't mean that Venus doesn't cry. I will say this, because Dr. Ladd used to say, don't wear diamonds or you will cry. And I said, well, I thought the moon would make you cry. And he says, well, if Venus is strong enough, it will make you cry, but only for the right reasons. See, because the moon will cry about everything, but Venus will only cry for when it is the appropriate time to cry. So this energy of the expression of the emotional nature can be difficult for the Taurus ascendant. So I think it's a very interesting position. And I hope that was beneficial.
Right. Very rightly said that for actors, you see all the actors, they are very bad in the communication. They always bring in their life also. See, in the picture, they might be scripted and they are doing, but in their life also, all the events will be scripted. They are not putting efforts to make their own relationship, own communication. Even though they can sort it out some small issue, they are making rise of that thing by spreading a wrong rumors and miscommunication. So that's a link what you have said, that's very much seen in the actress and the performer. They are lack of communication, and because of the lack of communication, they it maybe grow this kind of issue in their life. So very rightly said. Now we'll moving further more to the Gemini ascendant. Gemini people are very smart, very intelligent, very manipulated people, but they get caught. They really caught by their second house, by their family, because the moon is mother and Mercury is a child. So their family always caught this person who's having a Gemini ascendant, and they know all the in out of this person. So being the second lord, moon plays here a very vital role. Here the understanding of a relation with each other is very important. Like we know that moon is considering Mercury being his friend. In return, the Mercury is treating Moon as its enemy. So that's a very strange relation. People sometimes, student also ask why it happens that the mother treat his son as a friend and son treating his mother as a enemy. Here there's nothing enemy or nothing this. The logic behind is that your pure mind, your pure thought. See, whenever the situation arises, whatever the first thought comes in your mind is a moon. When you start manipulating it, it's you are adding Mercury, because Mercury adds the logic in inside. And so because of the Mercury, you are adding something, and that's creating your originality is broken by this. So the Gemini people having a second house, a moon lordship, they are more focus of the family. All their manipulation with the others will be very well managed, but the manipulation with the money manipulation with the family cannot be happen, and they become helpless when they are dealing with their families. So these people, as they themselves treated the moon as an enemy, they instead of going close to the family, close to the money or relationship, they are always creating a gap, and that gap is not good for the person. It's miscommunicated. Either their relation will spoil in future, or either they lose money because of the relation, bad relation, or not keeping a good relation. So these people, Gemini people, has to be very careful about the moon lordship in the second house, being it's not being well placed, and being attitude of a people of Gemini, not to become more emotional and more they are more into the calculative and that other communication skill. They sometimes suppress their own mood, own emotions, and because of that they suffer. So that's some kind of inputs of Gemini ascendant being a moon of a second house. Now you may also, I'm keen to hear your kind of inputs about the Gemini ascendant.
Thank you, Dr. Dharmesh. As I reflect upon Matuna, I think about the rulership of Mercury, and a key point which you highly pointed out was that the moon, again, we talk about it doesn't really have any enemies. Is unconditional love have any enemies? No. However, I like to think of Mercury as the son of the moon, but the son wants to be left alone by his parent. The son has interest. The child has interest in other things. The child has interest in its logical interest. The child has logic in its rational interest. It doesn't want to be babied by its mother. Oh, little Jerry, go do this, go do that, and treated like a baby, and he wants to be treated like an intelligent equal. He doesn't want to be babied by the mother. So that's one way. So the Gemini ascendancy and the Mercury moon rulership is very interesting. And we look at the Cancer influence and the rulership of the second house. So the Matuna Lagna person is very logical, is very rational, is very intellectual, and all of that is how their energy is naturally oriented. So, and then comes the Cancer energy in the second house, which means, okay, I would like to concentrate on what I would like to concentrate on. But if the energy of the second house isn't satisfied, I will not be able to concentrate on anything, because the moon is that emotional sensitivity. And for the Mercury enemy opposition, it is like the mother is bothering the child. Go clean your room. Go clean your room. Go clean your room. And the child says, no, I don't want to clean my room. I want to do this. I want to do this. I want to do this. So this vibration of kind of a weak spot for the Gemini Lugna when you look at the Cancer position and saying, okay, I can do everything that I want to from an intellectual perspective. But if my family is not okay, and if my financial situation is okay, well, I'm not going to be able to do anything. So again, the intellectual energy, the buddhi, it would like to be spent on all of these various things. But if the family is not okay, if the money isn't okay, there will be no satisfaction for the Mithuna Lagna. So that's just some of the rulership there. I hope that was interesting. And thank you for letting me share. I'm curious.
Yeah, that's the same thing you extended to my words, that now by putting the examples, it gets clear that how the person as a child is not obedient to their mother, in spite of a true love, unconditional love of a mother. The child is not taking the as care as he has to put. So that's pretty bad for the Gemini ascendant. Will not happen in the other Mercury ascendant that we're going to see further. Now, its own ascendant about Cancer. The Cancer ascendant, where the moon itself is a lord of ascendant and is a moon sign, is already placed in the ascendant. That is something great. So the person is physically and emotionally ruled under the moon. So here there's no option. There's no other planet who will change the person's personality. So he will try to show his personality as it is inside the mind or as he appear in front of the people. So the normal Cancerian people are very straightforward, very emotional and very outward people, whereby they like to show what the reality is there, what actually possess. So their mind and body doesn't differ in action. They are not speaking something else or extreme which they are not going to perform. They only speak which they believe they're going to do and they perform. So that kind of a surety the Cancer people are there. And we have seen the Lord Rama. Lord Rama is the best example for the Cancer ascendant, whereby he stick to his word. In spite of facing a lot of issue, in spite of having a lot of odds, he has so many options, emotions, but no, once given the words, he will perform his duty very well. So such a kind of Cancer people are there who are stick with what they believe insidely and what they perform, what they speak, what they do the action. It never been differ with each other. So that way the Cancer people are very lucky to get the ascendant lord itself a moon, and whereby the different moods you carry with yourself and you are very much aware that which kind of a mood I have to roll this time with this kind of a people. People sometimes take them very lightly, sometimes they can take very seriously. So they play a different role with the different people because the tuning is within. Tuning with the physical aspect and tuning with the emotion aspect, both combined in the Cancer ascendant. So they can tune themselves with the person to person and they deal with them very straightforward. You know, the Lord Rama has given a kingdom to Bali. He has given kingdom to Vibhishana. In spite they never aware that he can also become a king, he has given this all to the deserved person. So their word and their action never differs. So that kind of a loyalty, that kind of straightforwardness we can see in the Cancer. So I believe you should also put some insight about the Cancer ascendant with the moon position.
Thank you, Dr. Dharmesh. That was quite illuminating, and it's always interesting talking about Cancer and Moon. Now, when you're looking at the Cancer ascendancy, which is naturally ruled by the Moon, then the position of the Moon, it influences the personality of the individual greatly. So if the Moon is in a difficult position with Rahu, with Mars, with Saturn, the person can have depressing personality, the person can have aggressive personality, the person can have these strong emotional or mood swings or fluctuations in the personality. There are many gifts that come with the rulership of the Moon over the Cancer ascendancy. But you also have to look at the position of the Moon to see if that's regulating in a functional malefic or a functional benefic pattern. Now, the personality of the individual is connected to the emotion. And going back to a dharmic essence, because when you're looking in a rulership over the ascendant, you're looking at the first layer of the dharma. And that first layer of the dharma, when you get into the energy of what the Cancerian vibration it's about that unconditional love. It's about showing the support and care to your loved ones, showing the support and care to your family. So this can be a very natural personality type for the Cancer ascendant. But as we mentioned in some of our earlier discussions, that type of personality can be easily taken advantage of. And if, let's say that Cancer ascendant has the Moon positioned in the 4th house. So then we have this position of a difficult energy with the mother, that maybe this might be the person which is abusing you, and yet you still give this devotion to them. So again, it is natural for the personality of the chart, which is ruled by Cancer, have this huge influence by the Moon on the Dharma to be unconditionally loving, to be very sympathetic, to be very empathetic, to be very caring. But depending on the circumstances in their life, the other people in their life are not the same way, which means the devotional energy that they give out, it's not being appreciated. The devotional energy that they give out, it's not being reciprocated. Now, this doesn't happen in all cases, but like we said, in some conditions for the Cancer Lagna, they are taken advantage of. They can be dominated over because all they care is about making other people happy. So again, part of the evolutionary energy I see with the Cancer Lagna is to have strong emotional boundaries, because they have empathic intuition, which means they feel what other people feel. So if you start to feel that someone has a negative energy, you have to put on that physical boundary. You have to protect yourself. You have to cleanse your energy, because otherwise then you won't have the proper energy to give to the direction that you would actually like to give it to, because these other people are acting like vampire and they sucking your energy away. So this is something that the Cancer ascendant, I just wanted to reflect on as well. I hope that was interesting.
Yeah, definitely. That's effect of outer energies inside your body, and that kind of reaction what you have insidely, and then what you reflect out of it. That's a very important linking that you have made in this context. So the Cancer people, they are bright, their emotion, innocent everywhere. But whatever the negative shade what you have share, it's also to be considered to for the people. Now moving ahead to the Leo ascendant, we have a Moon position in the 12th house. In this ascendant, both are very cordially inviting each other as a friend. Sun believe Moon as a friend, Moon also believes Sun as a friend. But here, they are functionally not a benefit, because 1 and 12th Lord, they are having a very less say for each other's ascendant. Now, what happens to the people having a Leo ascendant? If the Sun is very strong, there is very less influence, domination of their Moon. Because Moon being a 12th Lord, it has a very negative kind of energy which Moon is Lordship. But His determination, his strong willpower is such, and the ascendant itself being the lordship of a sun. So he will not be drawn with the emotion, but he will be always being carried out with all kind of confidence. Here the sun position to create a very important role. And if sun is combusting the moon, that is a right position. Other way it won't be happen that moon is controlling sun. It will never happen. But if sun is controlling indirectly to the moon in the chart, that is best that you are suppressing your mindset, you are suppressing your emotion, and you are becoming more spiritual or more action based people. So that Leo ascendant being moon 12th lord, they are thinking lot of things, but once they take the decision, when they take the call, there's nothing can stop them by performing that thing. So that's the greatness of a Leo ascendant being a moon, have very less say in this ascendant. And one more ascendant we're going to see is a Cancer ascendant, whereby moon has very less say. So I give you opportunity, Mr. Kṣaṇāti, to add some your views related to the Leo ascendant with the moon position as the 12th lord.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Dharmesh. And it's always interesting when we talk about the sun and the moon's relationship. As mentioned, the moon doesn't traditionally have any enemies. And on some perspectives, the sun doesn't have enemies the way that the other grahas have enemies. But the sun definitely has disharmony with other planets and other energies. And when the sun and the moon are together, well, we sometimes call that an eclipse. So we have to be careful of an eclipsing of energies, especially considering the fact that Cancer is the ruler of the 12th house. So even though the Leo ascendant Simha is ruled by Surya, they're ruled by the sun. So there is this bright light inside of them, which is trying to, the sun is the king. So there is advancement, there is progression, there is achieving the soul's potential, there is striving to achieve the soul's destiny, and all of this forward positive momentum to going to the soul's direction that the soul wants to go. And again, we can sometimes see, like we saw with Gemini Lagna, you can think of Cancer a little bit as being a weak spot to the, and this isn't necessarily dependent on the position of the moon, but it shows that even though in their conscious personality, physical energy is being Leo, that their subconscious mind and that their dreaming is heavily influenced by the moon. So it's kind of this balancing of energies, but this energy of the subconscious mind being emotionally influenced. A lot of times when you see a Leo ascendant, you don't necessarily notice their emotional quality. However, it's the 12th house vibration is strongly Cancer. So the reason behind why they're doing everything, they might not know the emotional reason why, because the moon shows this, the subconscious is emotional. The moon's rulership over the 12th house shows that the subconscious has this emotional nature. So even though we don't necessarily see the emotion and the mood as a motivating factor, it's coming from the 12th house. It's coming through our dreams. It's coming through our subconscious. Because the moon rules the Dusthana house here, it can show that sometimes the mind is they say that our mind is our greatest enemy. And the 12th house is also, and the 12th house is also the house of prisons. It's the house of hospitals and ashrams and all of these things. And so when you have that Cancer influence on the 12th house, be careful that your mind is not a prison, because the mind can turn into a prison. The mind can turn into this consciousness where we're creating our reality. We're manifesting our reality because of our emotional consciousness. So we have to stay positive. We have to stay optimistic. In other words, it's not just enough to do everything you have to do as a Leo ascendant to achieve your potential, but you have to make sure that your mind is balanced too. And that's the moon, and that's the moon's influence on the 12th house, because there will be many subconscious battles which the Leo ascendancy has to face if they do not take care of their emotional aspect as well. So, so that's just, I hope that was interesting.
Yeah, so that's a combination of what we are believing is a relationship between the hello.
Namaste. Can you hear me, Dr. Dharmesh?
Yeah. Sorry. So it is nothing but we can see this as a conflict of interest. We can say it's a conflict of interest between sun and moon. And the one thing which we know that which delay our moksha is our mood. That's a moon. That's the emotion we create. If we are very straightforward, we are very easily get a moksha. But this moksha are delayed because of the thought, because of not focusing or concentrating on the things. So, sir, rightly you mentioned about the conflict of interest between sun and moon, and that's leading to the very negative side to the Leo people. Now, moving ahead to the Virgo people, here, as we have discussed in the Gemini, that the enmity between the moon and Mercury and the moon, here that kind of enmity we are not seeing with the family people, but here the moon is a lordship of a 11th house. So being a moon as a ownership of a 11th house in the Gemini ascendant, it will be a very interesting for the Virgo people. Now, in spite of a Gemini, the Virgo people are getting more benefit of a moon being a 11th lord. Even though it is enemy, it is a neutral house. We all know that 11th house is a neutral house where no planet exceed their limits. So here the moon remains in the control, and they know what kind of expectation they need to be done, and accordingly they are getting a good result. So all the Virgo people having a ascendant lord instead of a Mercury, still it is Mercury, but it will be giving a good opportunity to the moon. Moon also have an independent state, and with this independent state is going to give you ultimately a good desire fulfillment, gain, and all kind of a better result for your future life. So Virgo people are not going to face major negativity of moon sign in the 11th house. So you may also put your input, Kṣaṇāti.
Yes, as the Virgo ascendancy, and thank you, Dr. Dharmesh. I agree very much with you that it does kind of find itself in a more comfortable position in the 11th house for the Virgo ascendancy, even though the rulership of Mercury, because the 11th house rulership is a house of Kama. And the moon is this planet of devotion and desire and fulfilling our desire. So this combination can go very well together. People can achieve their ambitions, what they want to achieve. They can put their emotional energy towards towards achieving what they want to fulfill, leaving their reputation on this world. Or maybe they're striving for more spiritual goals. But whatever it is, the Cancer position does help them achieve that. Now, also, this can show a moon influence on friendship. And Virgo ascendant and also Gemini ascendant, friendship is a very important thing. Friendship is a very important thing to anyone who is ruled by Mercury, because these are the people that we have social interactions with. These are the people we have communications with. These are the people that it's easy for us to express ourselves to. So the Virgo ascendant person is not very emotional. They normally don't express a very emotional nature. They express a very logical nature, a very intellectual nature, a very understanding nature, a very service-oriented nature. I'm not saying they're emotionless, but there is a strong logical orientation to them. But everybody needs an emotional outlet. everybody needs an emotional outlet. So even though the Virgo ascendant people are very logically, rationally oriented, to them, their friends are their emotional outlet. So they have to be, they can have more emotional friends. They can have more emotional relationship with their friends. And maybe they don't ever talk about their problems, because Virgo people don't like to talk about their own problems. They only want to improve things and make things better. However, maybe when they're with their friends, it's okay to talk about your problems. It's okay to talk about your challenges. It's okay to talk about your sufferings. So it's a nice relief for the Virgo ascendancy to have this Cancer vibration in their friendship, helping them fulfill their desires. And that was, thank you, Dr. Dharmesh, for your insights on Kanya and the moon rulership as well.
Yeah, so that's a combination of a logic and emotion. What logic you have within and what your friends is possessing, how to balance that. That is a main core part of Virgo ascendant, as you have rightly said.